Hey everyone, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, we had some very big news today, so make sure you watch and listen to the end. Let's start with Bitcoin's chart because we're waiting to see what Bitcoin's going to do. Right now, it's still in the rising channel, but it's in the middle of the road. It could go up or down. I know that sounds like the cliche statement not a lot of people want to hear, but it's literally stuck in the middle of that rising channel. So it's above $77,000 at the time of recording. And as I've been telling you guys, $75,000 is the support level it needs to keep. So we need to hold that. And then we're looking for an impulsive bounce to break through the 200-day moving average and the resistance at $82,000. There is a CME gap around 84. And if it can get to 84 or 85, there's a strong chance it could go to 90 or above. Some analysts are saying, hey, look, we could revisit that high that we saw earlier in the year of around $97,000. But there's no guarantee that's going to happen. We're talking probabilities here. But on the daily chart, the MACD shows the bears are losing momentum. So that's a very good sign. On the weekly time frame, the bulls are still in control, so that's a good sign. And one user highlighted the following on the Bitcoin chart: the 200 SMA fell below the 200 EMA. There will be a breakout, he says. So let's see. Again, not guaranteed, but we're seeing some nice setup here. The stock market continues to show strength, although it was overheated and it was due for a pullback. So we're seeing that. However, we are seeing a bounce, but one thing that worries me is that the daily chart MACD shows the bears are in control. So there could be further downside here before it swings back. But Bitcoin has kind of deviated a bit from the stock market. They were following each other neck and neck. If you saw my interview with Brian from Santiment, which was published this morning, we saw the correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P 500, and then Bitcoin deviated and had a larger downward move. And, that's par for the course. Bitcoin's more volatile than the S&P 500, which is an index that has more liquidity, has been around for a longer time. But if the stock market's going to show weakness, it could pull crypto with it. So this is where we need to see some strong price action from Bitcoin, maybe a catch up before the stock market truly rolls over based on the metrics here. That doesn't mean that we're going to new lows, right? It just means that there could be a pullback before a move to new all-time highs. But again, all probabilities, no guarantees here. But folks, we got huge news today around Bitcoin and specifically the Bitcoin Reserve. So Congressman Nick Begek is introducing new legislation to establish a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. Fox Business reports the bill has bipartisan support and more than a dozen co-sponsors in Congress. So this bill is coming out hot, guys. It has a lot of members of Congress backing it. So Congressman Nick Begek, he highlighted the bill. The title of the bill is the American Reserve Modernization Act. ARMA, ARMA. He says here in an X post, it ensures digital assets in the possession of the federal government will be consolidated across the government and protected as a reserve asset for future generations, protecting these assets from the whims of Congress or future administrations. So essentially, this is building on what Senator Cynthia Lummis put forth. And here, one user summarized it really well. I'm going to read through it because it answers all the big questions some of you may have. So the American Reserve Modernization Act, ARMA, would authorize the U.S. Treasury to acquire up to 200,000 Bitcoin per year for 5 years, targeting a reserve of 1 million Bitcoin. The bill was introduced Wednesday by Representative Nick Begek with 16 original co-sponsors. It is a rebranding and expansion of the original Bitcoin Act co-introduced last year by Begek and Senator Cynthia Lummis. It would codify Trump's March 2025 executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve into permanent law that cannot be reversed by a future president. The bill classifies Bitcoin as a Tier 1 strategic reserve asset, putting it on the same legal footing as gold. A separate digital asset stockpile would hold other federally owned crypto. So this is not only for Bitcoin, but also the entire digital stockpile. So very bullish overall for crypto. So all acquisitions must be budget neutral. The funding mechanism is revaluing Federal Reserve gold certificates from their current statutory price of $42.22 per ounce, set in 1973, to current market prices. That gap generates hundreds of billions in accounting gains without new taxpayer debt. So that's pretty significant, folks. And this would be a budget neutral way to buy the Bitcoin without putting burden on the taxpayer. So the bill also ends the practice of auctioning off seized Bitcoin. All future seizures would be transferred directly to the Strategic Reserve instead of being liquidated by the U.S. Marshal Service. Existing government holdings would be consolidated into a single audited ledger. Wow. Incredible, folks. This is so bullish. And what makes it bullish is that we already have some momentum here, right? With Trump's executive order from last year, what Senator Lummis and Congressman Begek did already with the Bitcoin Act. And now you got 16 co-sponsors. Very, very big. Here's one of the co-sponsors, Representative Mike Ruley. He tweeted out, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. While governments can print unlimited amounts of money, Bitcoin supply is permanently fixed. That's why I'm proud to support Representative Nick Begek's ARMA Act, legislation that recognizes the strategic importance of Bitcoin and helps secure America's role as the crypto capital of the world. So, incredible, folks. And even if you're not a Bitcoin holder, remember, this also benefits the digital asset stockpile. So we want to get all these things through. It will be incredible. And look, I think there's a strong chance for this to pass. Maybe not this year, but we're still trying to figure out the Clarity Act, and then you got the midterm elections. But this could be passed potentially next year, especially as you have bipartisan support. That's the important thing, not to mention there is a national security narrative being formed. We've been reporting on it, guys, for the past few months, where you had a Navy admiral coming out and saying these things. Pete Hegseth, I believe is his name, coming out and saying Bitcoin is a matter of national security and all these things. So the narrative is coming from these national security folks. So incredible. And the other factor that could help push this through is that you have incredible lobbying happening by the crypto industry. So here, for example, CryptoPac, backed by Anchorage and Chainlink, announces endorsements for 2026 midterms. So the money, the contributions are going to go out to the candidates who are pro-crypto, who back bills like this. So this is where I think we got a good chance to get the Clarity Act done. And then after that, I believe the more important thing is the Parity Act to sort out crypto taxes. And then you have this bill, but you never know. This bill can make it in front of the Parity Act, but we shall see. But nevertheless, guys, we got momentum. We got a good amount of folks backing this bill, and that's what we want to see. Now, folks, a great place where you can invest and custody Bitcoin and other crypto assets, as well as gold and silver, is on iTrust Capital. iTrust Capital allows you to invest in both crypto and precious metals via an IRA. You may say, why would I want to do that? Well, if you have a long-term view, you can invest in these assets in the IRA and get huge tax advantages, because any trades and things that you make within the account are tax exempt, even short-term capital gains tax. So again, if you're looking to build your wealth over time, you're bullish on both asset classes, this is a great option. And folks, they're going to be adding stocks and ETFs soon. So you're going to get the mix of all the major asset classes here, which is great. So again, huge tax advantages. You can buy and sell these assets, crypto, as well as gold and silver 24/7. It's low cost, no monthly fee. And folks, on the crypto side, you have over 80 crypto assets. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Canton Network, even new tokens they list as well, and stablecoins. So you can get access to Circle USDC, Ripple's RLUSD, and they also offer staking on Ethereum. And on the gold and silver side, that is kept in a bank, and it's the physical asset. This is not paper, gold, or silver. So if you want to redeem the actual gold and silver, you can do that. You can redeem the physical asset. So that's a huge, huge benefit. They also have what's called a premium custody account. So you can sleep at night knowing your assets are safe. They use Coinbase Prime and some of the other big custodians. We know BlackRock uses Coinbase Prime. So you're getting tier 1 level institutional grade crypto custody, and you can go in and out 24/7. It's low fees. It's a closed loop system. So if someone hacks into your account, they can't withdraw anything, guys, because funds can only be moved to your bank account. So Amazing, amazing option. Again, if you have the long-term view, right, and you're looking to build your wealth and secure your wealth, this is a great option. So I have an account with them. So if you'd like to learn more, please go to itrustcapital.com/go/thinkingcrypto. If you sign up with my link, you can get $100 funding bonus. So check them out, guys. Definitely worth looking into. All right, moving ahead. TradFi giant IG to expand crypto trading across Europe through Bitpanda. So we're seeing major financial institutions, they are expanding their crypto offerings. So trading giant IG, which started offering cryptocurrency trading in the UK a year ago, said it plans to expand the services across Europe without giving a timescale. The European division of the London listed investment platform will use crypto exchange Bitpanda's infrastructure, including liquidity, trading, connectivity, and market data, to provide digital asset access to European investors, according to an email statement on Thursday. So we've been talking a lot about what's happening here in the United States with Charles Schwab launching crypto trading. Morgan Stanley via E-Trade is going to do that later this year. Well, it's happening across the globe. UK, EU, in the Asian countries and markets. It is a global movement. And as I've been saying, all of these on ramps being set up, right, where there's no longer barriers for the average Joe, even institutions, to be able to access the asset class. And then you throw in crypto legislation with clarity. I think that kicks off the super cycle. That is my thesis. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with that. I think it makes logical sense. And then you have these institutional investors are now partnering with crypto exchanges. So, for example, IG is partnering with Bitpanda, right? Because it will take a long time for them to try to build these services out. So they're partnering with these crypto exchanges to help get them off the ground floor here. This is huge. This is huge, guys. Amazing what's happening. Here's another example. Bors Stuttgart taps SocGen Flatex de Giro. Ooh, that's a weird name, for EU blockchain settlement push. So not only are they launching crypto trading, they're integrating the technology, they're tokenizing, they're using stablecoins, they're using blockchain for settlement and much more. So Bors Stuttgart Group tokenized securities settlement platform Ceturion has partnered with Societe Generale. Many of you know that's a bank. Its crypto subsidiary SG Forge and online broker Flatex de Giro to build out a blockchain-based securities settlement system across Europe. Same thing is happening here in the US. NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, BlackRock, all these guys tokenizing securities, putting everything on chain. Under the plan, Societe Generale will issue tokenized structured securities such as turbo warrants and investment certificates on Ceturion, according to a Thursday announcement. SG Forge, which holds a markets in crypto assets authorization from French regulators, will settle transactions using its coin-vertible euro and dollar stablecoins, EURCV and USDCV. It's almost like you can't keep up with all the stuff that's happening here. Well, I guess this is why you subscribe to the podcast, right? I'm helping to aggregate it for you, so you, and in a digestible format, so you guys can stay up to date. But the building that's happening is incredible, folks. Really, really amazing. And speaking of building, MoonPay is expanding beyond crypto payments to give banks and fintechs access to tokenized assets, DeFi, and stablecoin liquidity across more than 200 blockchains. MoonPay continues to innovate at an amazing pace. They're building a lot. And I will be interviewing former CFTC chair Caroline Pham. She was also a former commissioner. She now works for MoonPay. So we're going to be doing that interview in June. So we're going to go through all of these things. So the platform is underpinned by Decent.xyz, the cross-chain startup MoonPay acquired, and will support the firm's financial institutional business led by former acting CFTC chair Caroline Pham. Tokenized assets have become a rapidly growing crypto sector, attracting the interest of Wall Street firms as traditional finance and blockchain increasingly intertwine. So well said there. There's a convergence where these markets are becoming blended, and there's no longer, I think in the future, going to be crypto market and stock market. It's just going to be one market, which is going to be pretty insane and a huge, huge market, right? But very bullish. And look at this, blockchain.com files with the SEC for US IPO. So we're seeing more and more crypto firms looking to go public. We know the big one that is on the horizon is Kraken. With all the acquisitions they have made over the past year and a half, that's going to be a big one. And of course, you have Securitized, the tokenization firm. They're looking to go public, but via a SPAC, and here blockchain.com looking to go public via an IPO. Now, SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce gave an update today on tokenized stocks. So she expects the SEC innovation exemption for tokenized stocks to apply narrowly to on-chain equity products only. Synthetic tokens that mimic stocks without full shareholder rights are not expected to qualify. So, look, they're going to crawl, walk, and run, right? They can't just go ham and say, oh, everything must be on the blockchain immediately. No, it's going to have to roll out in phases. So I think this is a smart approach to do it so that if there are problems, if there are hiccups and roadblocks and things we need to fine tune, we can easily nip them in the bud, right? And get this sorted out and then go to bigger things. So I appreciate Hester's smart approach to this. And, this is all still new. So while the end goal is to get all assets on chain, you got to do it in phases. You got to crawl, walk, and then run, right? So great to hear this. And I'm trying to get Chair Paul Atkins on to talk a lot about these things. Obviously, I've had Hester on maybe like 6 times over the years. Certainly want to get her on before she leaves the SEC. Her tenure is coming up. And, we'll talk through a lot of these things. Okay, final news item. Chris Giancarlo, former CFTC chairman, who I've had on the podcast many times, he is joining with Jefferies, a major Wall Street firm, global investment bank, right, to help digital asset innovators build and succeed in current pro-growth financial services policy environment. I will be interviewing him in June as well. So we're going to talk about this. He's a brilliant mind and obviously very pro-crypto, and he certainly understands markets. And, he was helping in fighting the fight against Gary Gensler and all the people who are anti-crypto under the Biden administration. But it's a new day, and it's incredible to see the building and all the great things that are happening. So looking forward to the conversation with Chris. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think about the Bitcoin reserve news. That's huge. A lot of members of Congress backing this bill. And it's not just for Bitcoin, but the digital asset stockpile as well. So folks, leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't as yet. Please support the podcast by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free, doesn't cost you anything. I put out a write-up once per week, so no spamming, and I put a lot of charts and data and information in there. So it's a great way for you to, catch up on the market, take your time and go through the details and learn about what's happening. So it's, again, free on Substack. Link will be in the description. Be sure to grab a copy of my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And if you want to expand your knowledge around crypto, knowledge is power. I have a course at mycryptocourse.com, which teaches you everything you need to know. And right now we have a huge sale going on where you can get 50% off the price of the course. Use the code BEAR, BEAR, at checkout, and you can get that 50% off. Again, go to mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.